Hey, I'm Jay from Team 125 Overland. Welcome to What Not to Do Wednesdays. This is where I talk about a little bit about some of the mistakes I've made, and hopefully that'll save you some time, money, and some grief. So for the first one I want to talk about is winches, okay? And not the old-timey hose, but winches, okay? I remember as far back, I always wanted a winch on my truck. So when I built my Silverado, it was kind of a given that I was going to put one on there. Silverado's a big truck. I think the rule of thumb for buying a winch is you take the vehicle weight and you double it. Well, I don't know the vehicle weight of my truck. It's 45, 5, but I said it was 6. Let's go with the 12. So what else am I going to buy? I'm going to buy a Warn winch. One of the things I kind of realized that you probably don't want to skimp on a winch, and I was a little leery about some of the Harbor Freight ones. So I did buy a Warn winch. What I bought, though, was the 12,000 pound wire winch system, you know, with the actual wire cable. Well, I got it with the Fairleads. I got it, and I decided to hook it up, and I actually put in a rough country hidden winch mount. One day I was walking down the street, and there's this Ford Raptor parked on my street, which I'm not a huge fan of Ford Raptors, but still, I looked down, there was a hidden winch on there, and he had a house Fairlead, and he had a factory 55, you know, like the thing, I forgot what it's called. But he had a factory 55 on there. And I thought, man, that just looks so good. That looks so tight. And I wanted that. I bought the like I said, the Fairlead 1 winch, not really even giving it much thought. And I bought then went and bought a house Fairlead. Because I read on the internet, which is not always right, that it's okay to use that wire cable on a house Fairlead. Don't do that. Don't do that. Like I'll be honest with you. Like I kind of knew better, but I'm like, oh fuck it, I'll try it. You know? Yeah, no. So I had it kind of hooked up with the wire cable for a year, with the hook and the house Fairlead, and just even from like driving, the actual wire cable was like just tearing up the house Fairlead. So I really regretted not buying a synthetic. And here's why. I read back and forth, okay, well, cables, great cables. And having to like use a cable winch, even like drawing it out and winding it back up, just kind of sucks. Because if you kink it one fucking time, that cable's shot. I had just put the winch in, and I was reeling it in, and I didn't have gloves on, which you're never supposed to do, but I was thinking, well, Jesus Christ, it's a brand new winch line. And boom, right in my hand. Blood everywhere. It hurt like hell. I get why they're really good, but they're just dangerous as fuck. And I just didn't see it well with me. So the next year, in 2016, I decided I was at least going to replace it with a synthetic line. Okay? Mind you, like a winch, like a Warn winch, 12,000 pound with a wire cable is like $750. Okay, if you buy the synthetic one, it's not much more than I think $900 or something like that. So the next year, I decided to buy a synthetic line replacement line for it. So I bought a Master Pool 100 foot rope rated at 24,000 pounds. So I got it in. It was like $250. I loved it. Okay, I didn't buy the hook with it, because I thought, well, I've already got the hook for my Warn winch. Okay, that was another mistake. All right, so I get it, and I look at the hook, and I can try to put the hook on. Of course, it doesn't fit the eyelet. Okay, well, so now I'm already past this, and I don't have a hook. So I pull out the cable, and I hook up the new rope, and I wind it up. Now, Warn winch is like a 75-foot cable. I bought 100 foot. I think, well, fuck it, 25 Warn feet. Yeah, well, you know, there's bars across that winch that only allow for so much spooling. So legitimately, as I wound it up, the rope is like tight. It's getting to be like point of like tight in there. And you really have to watch winding it up. And if you look at Silverado on the front bumper, there's like the slot. You can actually look right through at the winch. It's almost like they meant to do it, but it does make winching a lot easier. And yeah, it barely fit. It was not a very comfortable fit either, which is going to suck off-road because if you go and like pull it out, you have to spend a little time winding it back up. Additionally, too, you almost kind of can't get that last 6 inches in there. I mean, it's a little tricky. It really does get a little tight. And once again, I have a hook, so I put a D-ring on the end and just wrapped around my toe hooks. I think, like, I went to go buy the hook, and I was like, well, if I'm going to buy the hook, I might as well buy a factory 55. So I ended up buying a factory 55, you know, those eyelet things for the front. I haven't installed it yet. All in all, I think I spent, you know, like probably if you count the house fairly, the line, the winch, it was probably like $1,100 on my winch. I could have saved $200 if I just bought the synthetic line. And, you know, the house fairly that I bought was it was like a worn, but it was cheaper. It's black. It doesn't look great as like one of those polished ones. So, I mean, you know, it is what it is. I mean, it's kind of like a mistake. You live and learn. On the upside, the synthetic line is great. It's absolutely fantastic. You know, it floats in water. It's really, I mean, it's really flexible. It's really super nice. It's definitely worth the money. So I definitely wouldn't ever go not synthetic again. You know, another thing with the cable, the downside with the cable is not only is it like you can't bend it, it'll rip up your hands. If it breaks, you're going to die. But another thing, too, is that, you know, honestly, like I'm from Michigan. You drive your truck in the snow and the salt, that I see winches all the time. They're like all corroded and just look like shit. And albeit mine's hidden, but it still looks like shit. You see the cable start to rust and not rust or, you know, get corroded, and it just looks really bad. So, yeah, what not to do. And probably one other thing I'll throw in there is I had taken this, and you can kind of take it or leave it for a piece of advice. One thing with winching, especially with synthetic line, I wanted the switch inside. And I wanted a switch to kind of control, you know, my winch. And you can actually find a Carling 3-pole switch on eBay for like $12. All right. And once you take apart the actual hand control, you can figure out how to wire up the switch. It's really super easy. And then you can control your winch from inside the cab of the truck, which is really super nice. I really wish I just would have bought the Bluetooth controller thingy. Because I actually wired that up. I wired it up, and I really think much about it because, you know, controller, switch, it's really not. I wired it up, and something happened. That thing grounded, arced, and had that whole entire wire through my truck set on fire. And luckily, at the point, it was actually at the dealership, and the mechanic just yanked the wire right out and saved my truck from burning up. So needless to say, it's wired, but it's fused now. So yeah, that's really kind of my experience with winching. So my advice, get yourself a worn synthetic line, house fair lead winch, all put together. I'm like whatever the series it is, Xenon series. They're really super nice. They're already set up for you. Don't waste your money going cable. You're going to hate it. Just get the synthetic. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you agree with me. Tell me if you don't. Make fun of me for making horrible mistakes. Let me know what you think. Thanks. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't already, please subscribe.